So you're new to Genshin, you do a 10 pull on the current banner, and you get a 4-star Crimson Witch of the Flames artifact set. Now, in the video where I did talk about Clam, I did the same intro, and I had people asking if you can actually get artifact sets from wishes. You cannot. You actually have to go run domains for them, specifically this domain right here for the Crimson Witch set in Leeway. I just wanted to say that because I didn't actually clarify that in the last video on Clam. So, in this video, we are going to look at this artifact set, what it does, and who it can be good for. So, the 2-piece set is Pyro damage bonus is increased by 15%, which can be really good for Pyro characters. 4-piece set increases Overload, Burning, and Burgeon damage by 40%, increases Vaporize and Melt damage by 15%, using an elemental skill increases the 2-piece set bonus by 50% of its starting value with a max of 3 stacks. So we are going to use Dia to show this. Now Dia's not going to get the full 3 stacks, she's only going to get 2, but it should still show how it works. So Dia does have a Pyro damage goblet on her, giving her 46.6% Pyro damage bonus, plus the 2-piece set is going to take it up to 61.6%. So you are already seeing the 2-piece bonus. Now let's go see the 4-piece. So in this video, we are going to look at Vaporize, Melt, Burning, and Burgeon, actually, and Overload. We're going to look at all 5. We're going to show quick examples of all 5 reactions that this artifact set increases the damage. Now, I'm not going to take this stuff off Dia. You're not going to see her damage without the artifact set. This is strictly going to be with the artifact set. So we are going to use Dia on a Vaporize reaction, then we are going to check her stats. And because once we have used her skill, it is going to increase the 2-piece effect. So you can see here, she now has 69.1% Pyro damage bonus versus the 61.1. If we use her skill again, which we're going to do with a Melt reaction, because why not? We are going to see that it is now 76.6%. If we were able to do her skill a 3rd time, it would go up even further. So that is what the 4-piece set does on that second part, is that it increases your Pyro damage bonus once you've used the skill. So typically, like with Dia, I'm going to use the skill both times before I use her burst to get up the Pyro damage bonus to its maximum, with her being able to use her skill twice. Now, because it also increases the damage from Vaporize and Melt, I am going to run her in a team where she is going to be able to cause Vaporize and Melt reactions, specifically with Rosaria's Burst and Farina's skill. She will be able to cause some Melt and some Vaporize reactions off of both of those, working together, working independently, so that way she can get those with her burst. And as you can see, when she hits it, we are hitting 46,000 on the punch, 24,000 without the Melt or Vaporize. Now, if we take her back into this domain with like Nahida, Dia, Coco, and Rosaria, basically a Burgeon Fridge team, then we are going to get to see 3 more of the reactions that benefit from this artifact set. So we're going to be mixing Burning and Burgeon kind of in here all together at once. We are going to set it up. We are going to get some blooms out on the field. We are then going to go to Dia, who has 0 EM investment, and on the Burgeon is going to hit 16k without any elemental mastery investment. So that is really, that's actually pretty good. That's half of what I get on a Hyper Bloom with a 4-piece Flowers of Paradise Lost without any form of investment into it. Now this Burning, you're going to see these tick marks. We're getting a little over 1,000 on the Burning mark. It's going to depend on who causes it, if it's Nahida causing it or if it is Dia causing it, but it's going to kind of use them together until you burn up both auras. Not that we want to get into how auras work, but as you can see, it is doing a fair good amount of damage. I think it is 5 ticks per second, so that is what, 1,300 times 5 is going to be right around 7,000. So we're going to be getting like 7,000 a second damage. That's not a lot, but it would add up over time. Now, also in this kind of team, we are going to be getting some Vaporize and some Melt reactions when we have Rosaria's Burst and Coco's skill out on the field, but mainly that's just to mitigate. But mainly that's just to get rid of the Burning aura, because we actually want to produce blooms, not Burning. I don't know why I'm talking about how this team works. This is a video on Crimson Witch. And now we're going to talk about Overloaded. Now, again, this is going to just increase the damage of the Overloaded reaction. Not that we want to cause it, unless we were to say have. Raiden, Dia, Chevy, and Benny. And I actually run this team in the Abyss, and it's actually doing very, very well. First half is a little, my second half with this team is actually really, really good, really solid. So in a team like this, where we are going to be causing overloaded reactions, it's just going to increase the damage. It's just going to give us a little bit more damage, but we really just want the pyro damage bonus that using her skill is going to give in this team. We're not going to hate the extra overloaded damage. We're really not. We're going to quite enjoy it just because it's a little bit more. This would be a much more niche situation. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some different characters that can actually use this artifact set. So of course, we have Dia, right? This is my actual Dia's artifact set, 4-piece Crimson Witch with her signature Beacon of the Reed Sea. This is the artifact set that I use on my Dia, and it works fairly well. I really, really enjoy this set. I am trying to get her VG, but okay, VG. Crimson Witch, right? That's the video that we're doing here. So it works very, very well on Dia, especially if you can cause the vaporize and melt reactions, which is kind of the caveat to this artifact set. A character will be able to use the artifact set if they work well with a hydro or cryo character. That's the weird thing. It's not necessarily going to come down to, it's going to come down to more so of the character's individual play styles versus if they are a pyro character. And we'll talk more about that. We'll actually compare two characters that are similar, but very different in how they could use this set. Now, next we have Klee. Now, Klee can work very, very well with this artifact set. One of my mods actually uses a Burgeon Vape Klee in the Abyss, which is really, really cool. And I believe she runs 4-piece Crimson Witch, and it works very well. Just like we saw with Dia, not having any EM investment, being able to still hit 16K on a Burgeon. That is how this Klee would work. You're going to be doing vaporized reactions. You're going to be doing normal reactions with some Burgeon thrown in there. Yes, Soup, I know my Klee does not have all of her artifacts. It's okay. It's okay. Now, Yanfei is going to be a lot like Klee, so we're going to kind of skip over Yanfei. But Yanfei is going to be a lot like Klee in the same regard, where they're going to be able to use it in a very, very similar manner. Now, next is going to be Xiangling, and this is one of those characters that it's really going to depend. Xiangling can mainly use the 2-piece, not the 4-piece as much. Emblem is typically going to be a better set on Xiangling because you're going to be using her burst a lot. And the only time that you might be able to get away with running Crimson would be like in a child national team, where she is going to be causing vaporized reactions a lot. That is one of those instances where the characters to allow her to get the full use out of this set, she doesn't typically pair with. Next, we have Diluc. Now, we all know that I dislike Diluc, but I am going to be talking about him in my videos. Thanks, people on YouTube, for calling me out on that. Diluc, I believe this is Diluc's signature set. Like, this set was originally created for Diluc. It is his best in slot, especially if you're going to be using him with somebody like Xingqiu or Yelan. Those two appear a lot in these conversations. You could even do like Layla and Rosaria, something off field to allow for those vaporize and melt reactions. Now, a character like Gaming, not really, because he doesn't pair super well with Xingqiu and Yelan because he doesn't use normal attacks. He uses plunging attacks. So you would have to pair him with like Layla or Rosaria to get off-field cryo, or Farina, where you're relying on her little vampires to apply the hydro. But if they're not fast enough, he's not going to be able to be causing the vaporized reactions. So you really, somebody like Gaming, where you're not using normal attacks, is going to be a lot harder to get this set to work on. You can, but I think Marshmallow is just going to be better, especially if you're pairing him with Farina, especially if he hurts himself and heals himself during his burst. It's going to work better to have something like Marshmallow because of the characters. The characters that are typically associated with pyro characters to get vaporize and melt reactions may not work with like Gaming. And here we are going to show a very, very good example. We are going to compare Lenny and Yoimiya, specifically to show how one Pyrobow character and a different Pyrobow character cannot use the set to the same effectiveness. Lenny uses charged shots as his main damage, right? Because of that, he will not be able to activate Xingqiu and Yelan's bursts. However, Yoimiya imbues her normal attacks with Pyro, meaning that Xingqiu and Yelan's burst will work with Yoimiya where they won't work with Lenny. So this could be a better set for Yoimiya. I do think Shimenawa is better, but this can be a good set for Yoimiya partnered with Xingqiu or Yelan, whereas Lenny, using charged attacks, won't be able to get the same effectiveness as Yoimiya, because Xingqiu and Yelan's burst work with normal attacks, not charged attacks. So very similar to Gaming, you would have to use somebody like Layla or Rosaria to get, or Farina or Coco, somebody that can offer a different kind of off-field Hydra application, but it's not as consistent as Xingqiu and Yelan. Whew, that was one take too, though. I don't think there's gonna be many breaks in there. If there are, it's just pauses. Next, we have Hu Tao, and I believe this is Hu Tao's best artifact set if you want to use her skill as well as her burst. If you just want to use her skill, Shimenawa, I believe, is better. If you want to use both, then Crimson Witch is great. So Hu Tao will use her skill, getting an extra little increase in pyro damage bonus, but she will do normal attacks after that, applying Hydro with Yelan and Xingqiu's bursts. I told you they were going to pop up a lot. Them too, if the character works with them, they can probably use this to great efficiency. If they don't, it's a little bit harder because we don't have a character like them for Cryo yet. We may never. That might be too broken. That is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or somebody else will be sure to answer it, and I'll see you in the next one.